What happens when one of Britain's most beloved comedic geniuses sits down for what should be a lighthearted chat, only to find himself facing a barrage of condescending questions and thinly veiled insults? In just 47 seconds, a simple question about artistic integrity would spiral into the most explosive confrontation daytime television had ever witnessed, leaving a host scrambling to salvage her reputation as her guest walked off set in front of millions of stunned viewers. The morning started like any other on the popular talk show. The studio audience settled into their seats, the cameras rolled, and Lorraine Kelly took her place behind the desk with her signature smile. Beside her sat two regular panelists, lifestyle correspondent Amanda Chen and entertainment critic Michael Bradshaw, both ready for what they assumed would be another routine celebrity interview. Rowan Atkinson walked onto the set to warm applause. Known worldwide for his brilliant physical comedy and sharp wit, he settled into the guest chair with his characteristic humble demeanor. The first few minutes proceeded smoothly enough, with Lorraine asking about his latest project. This returned to dramatic theater after years focused on comedy. "So, Rowan," Lorraine began, leaning back in her chair with an air of casual authority, "you are doing Shakespeare now. Quite a departure from Mr. Bean, is it not?" Rowan nodded politely. "Well, I have always loved the theater. Comedy and drama are not as different as people think. Both require truth, timing, and understanding of human nature." Lorraine's smile tightened slightly. "Right. But let us be honest. You are known for pulling faces and falling over. Do you really think audiences will take you seriously in Hamlet?" The question hung in the air like a challenge. Rowan straightened slightly in his chair. "I think the question reveals more about the person asking it than about my abilities." "Oh?" Lorraine raised an eyebrow. "And what exactly does it reveal?" "That you might not understand the craft of acting," Rowan replied calmly. "Physical comedy requires incredible discipline, precision, and yes, dramatic understanding. You cannot make someone laugh without first understanding what moves them." Lorraine leaned forward. "So, you are saying I do not understand acting? That is quite presumptuous." "I am saying that dismissing one form of performance art to elevate another shows a limited perspective," Rowan said. "Many of the greatest actors moved between comedy and drama seamlessly. It is only people who do not understand the work who see them as separate." Amanda shifted uncomfortably, sensing the growing tension. "I think what Rowan is saying is that versatility is a strength." "I know what he is saying, Amanda," Lorraine snapped. "I do not need you to translate for me." The studio went quiet. Amanda Chen shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Even the audience seemed to sense something off in the tone. Rowan maintained his composure. "I think audiences are more intelligent than you are giving them credit for. They can appreciate range in a performer." "Range," Lorraine repeated, letting out a small laugh. "Michael, what do you think? Can someone who built a career on slapstick suddenly become a serious actor?" Michael Bradshaw, clearly uncomfortable being put on the spot, stammered, "Well, I think many comedic actors have successfully transitioned to dramatic roles. Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Steve Carell. The list goes on." "Those are Americans," Lorraine said dismissively. "Different culture entirely. Different expectations." "What does nationality have to do with it?" Rowan asked, his tone sharpening slightly. "Talent is talent, regardless of where you come from." "I am just saying," Lorraine continued, "British audiences have certain expectations. They know you as one thing. Changing that perception is, well, it is almost impossible, is it not? Only if you believe perception is more important than reality," Rowan countered. "I am not interested in managing perceptions. I am interested in doing good work." Lorraine's expression hardened. "Good work. Right. And you think prancing around in tights reciting Shakespeare is good work?" Amanda gasped audibly. "Lorraine, that is incredibly disrespectful." "Is it?" Lorraine turned to her panelist. "I am just being realistic. We are all thinking it. No, Amanda said firmly. We are not all thinking it. You are thinking it. Oh, come on, Lorraine interrupted, waving her hand dismissively. We are all thinking it. This is a bit of a stretch, is it not? I mean, Rowan, no offense, but you are not exactly known for your depth. Rowan's expression remained neutral, but his voice carried a harder edge. No offense taken, because I do not value the opinion of someone who clearly has not done their research. I have performed Shakespeare before, multiple times. I trained at Oxford. I have done Chekhov, Ibsen, Pinter. Would you like me to continue, or would you prefer to keep making assumptions? Assumptions? Lorraine's voice rose. I am not making assumptions. I am stating facts. The public knows you for comedy. Physical comedy. That is your brand. My brand, Rowan repeated slowly. You are reducing decades of work to a brand, as if I am a product on a shelf rather than an artist. Well, are you not? Lorraine challenged. Come on, Rowan. You have made millions from being Mr. Bean. You have licensed that character for merchandise, television shows, films. That is a brand. That is exactly what that is. Mr. Bean is one character I created, Rowan said, his patience clearly wearing thin. One character among many, but you seem incapable of seeing past it. Because that is what you are known for, Lorraine insisted. That is what puts you on the map. You cannot just erase that and expect people to forget. I am not trying to erase anything, Rowan said firmly. I am trying to grow, to evolve, to challenge myself. Is that really so difficult for you to understand? Lorraine sat back, crossing her arms. I understand perfectly. I understand that you want to be seen as more serious, more intellectual, more refined. But wanting something and deserving it are two different things. Oxford, Lorraine said with exaggerated impression, then turned to Amanda. Did you hear that? Oxford. Well, I went to a polytechnic, so I suppose my opinion does not count. Amanda looked like she wanted to disappear. Lorraine, I do not think that is what he meant at all. He was simply stating his credentials. His credentials, Lorraine mocked. Yes, because having a degree means you are automatically talented. I know plenty of Oxford graduates who could not act their way out of a paper bag. This is absurd, Rowan said, shaking his head. You are deliberately twisting everything I say. I am not twisting anything, Lorraine shot back. I am asking the questions that need to be asked. Someone has to be honest here. Honest? Rowan's voice carried genuine disbelief. You call this honesty? This is just you being deliberately provocative for ratings, the audience murmured. Some people nodded in agreement. Lorraine noticed, and her expression darkened. For ratings? She said coldly. How dare you suggest I would compromise my integrity for ratings? Then what would you call this? Rowan gestured around the studio. You have insulted my work, questioned my abilities, and now you are playing the victim when I defend myself. I am not playing anything, Lorraine hissed. I am doing my job. My job is to ask difficult questions. Your job is to interview people, Rowan corrected, not to attack them. No, let him explain, Lorraine pressed, turning back to Rowan. Please, enlighten those of us who did not attend fancy universities. Tell us why we should believe you can handle the bard. Rowan took a slow breath. This is not about education. This is about respect. You invited me here to discuss my work, not to belittle it. Belittle? Lorraine's voice rose. I am asking legitimate questions. Questions that everyone watching is thinking. You have made a fortune acting like a fool. Now, you want to be taken seriously. I am simply being honest about the skepticism. There is a difference between skepticism and rudeness, Rowan replied evenly. Lorraine laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. Oh, so now I am rude? Michael, Amanda, am I being rude? Michael opened his mouth, but Rowan spoke first. Do not put them in that position. This is between you and me. Everything is between me and my guests, Lorraine shot back. This is my show. My name is on it. I can ask whatever questions I want. Then perhaps you should ask better questions, Rowan said quietly. The audience gasped. Amanda put her hand over her mouth. Michael stared at the desk. Lorraine's face flushed red. Excuse me? Better questions? I have been doing this for decades. I have interviewed everyone. Prime ministers, Hollywood stars, royalty, and you think you can come on my show and tell me how to do my job? I think I can come on any show and expect basic courtesy, Rowan replied, which you are clearly incapable of providing. Incapable? Lorraine stood up from her chair. You pompous, arrogant man. You think because you went to Oxford and people laughed at your silly walks that you are somehow above criticism? I never said I was above criticism. Rowan remained seated, his voice calm. I said I deserve respect. There is a difference. Lorraine turned to the audience. Can you believe this? He comes on my show, acts superior, and then lectures me about respect. Several audience members looked away, clearly uncomfortable. Others whispered to each other. Lorraine, Amanda interjected softly, maybe we should take a quick break. We are not taking a break, Lorraine snapped. I want to address this right now. Rowan, you seem to have forgotten that you are a guest. Guests do not criticize the host. Hosts do not insult their guests, Rowan countered. Or at least, good hosts do not. Lorraine's jaw dropped. Good hosts? Are you suggesting I am not a good host? I am suggesting that your behavior today has been unprofessional and, frankly, quite nasty. Michael finally found his voice. Perhaps we should all just calm down and... Stay out of this, Michael. Lorraine cut him off. She pointed at Rowan. Nasty? I am nasty? I gave you a platform. I brought you on this show. And this is how you repay me? By insulting me in front of my audience? You insulted me first, Rowan said simply. From the moment I sat down, you have questioned my abilities, mocked my choices, and dismissed my experience. What did you expect? That I would just sit here and smile? I expected you to be professional, Lorraine hissed. I expected you to answer questions without being defensive and thin-skinned. Thin-skinned? Rowan's voice finally showed emotion. You called me a fool. You suggested I was not intelligent enough for serious work. You questioned whether audiences would take me seriously. And I am thin-skinned for responding. Oh, here we go, Lorraine threw her hands up. The victim card. Classic. You cannot handle a tough interview, so you play the victim. This is not a tough interview, Rowan said, his voice rising. A tough interview challenges ideas, explores nuance, asks difficult but fair questions. This is just you being cruel for entertainment. The studio was dead silent, every eye fixed on the confrontation unfolding before them. Lorraine leaned forward, her voice dripping with condescension. Cruel? You want to know what is cruel? What is cruel is watching someone desperately trying to reinvent themselves. What is cruel is seeing A has been clinging to relevance. Amanda stood up. Lorraine, that is too far. Sit down, Amanda, Lorraine ordered. I am not. Finished. But Rowan was already standing. Actually, you are finished. I am not going to sit here and be abused. Abused? Lorraine laughed harshly. You are so dramatic. Oh, wait, that is right. You are an actor now. A serious actor. How could I forget? Tell me, Rowan, when did you become so fragile? When did you lose your sense of humor? I thought comedians were supposed to be able to take a joke. There is a difference between a joke and cruelty, Rowan replied, his voice tight with controlled anger. And you crossed that line a long time ago? Cruelty? Lorraine's voice dripped with sarcasm. You want to talk about cruelty? What is cruel is wasting everyone's time with this vanity project of yours. What is cruel is thinking you can just reinvent yourself at your age and expect everyone to applaud. At my age? Rowan stood taller. Now we are adding ageism to the list of your offenses. Oh, please, Lorraine waved dismissively. Do not play that card. You know exactly what I mean. You had your moment. You were successful. But now you want more. You always want more. It is never enough, is it? Michael stood up. Lorraine, this has gone too far. You need to stop. Sit down, Michael, Lorraine ordered without looking at him. I am talking to our guest. You are not talking to him, Michael said, his voice stronger now. You are attacking him. There is a difference. You know what your problem is? Rowan said, his voice steady, but filled with quiet anger. You are so insecure about your own career, your own relevance, that you have to tear down others to feel important. You hide behind this persona of the warm, friendly host, but underneath, you are just bitter and small. The audience let out a collective gasp. Michael's eyes went wide. Amanda covered her face with her hands. Lorraine's face went from red to purple. How dare you? How absolutely dare you come onto my show, my set, and speak to me that way? Do you know who I am? Do you know how long I have been doing this? Long enough to know better, Rowan said quietly. Long enough to understand that respect goes both ways. But apparently, you have forgotten that. Or maybe you never knew it to begin with. Never knew it? Lorraine's voice was shaking now, with rage or hurt or both. I have interviewed thousands of people. Thousands. And not one of them has ever spoken to me like this. Perhaps they were too polite, Rowan suggested. Or perhaps they were afraid. But I am neither polite enough nor afraid enough to let you continue this charade. Charade? Lorraine practically screamed the word. This is my show, my career, my life's work. And you call it a charade? When you use it to belittle and demean people, yes, Rowan said. That is exactly what I call it. How dare I? Rowan's voice was incredulous. How dare you treat a guest with such contempt? How dare you think your name on a show gives you the right to be cruel? Get out, Lorraine said, quietly. What? I said get out, Lorraine repeated, louder this time. Get off my set. Get out of my studio. You are not welcome here. Rowan stared at her for a long moment. Gladly. I would rather be anywhere than in the presence of someone so deeply unpleasant. Unpleasant? Lorraine shrieked. Unpleasant? You sanctimonious, self-righteous bore. You think you are so much better than everyone else. I do not think I am better than everyone, Rowan said calmly, even as he began removing his microphone. I just know I am better than you. The audience erupted in shocked murmurs. Michael looked like he might faint. Amanda was shaking her head in disbelief. Lorraine's voice became shrill. Security! Someone get security! I am leaving, Rowan said, placing the microphone on his chair. You do not need security to remove someone who wants to leave. You are finished, Lorraine shouted after him. Do you hear me? Your career is over. I will make sure everyone knows what you did here today. Rowan turned back, his expression one of pity. My career will be fine. Can you say the same about yours after everyone sees how you behave when someone stands up to you? You arrogant piece of, Lorraine started, but Amanda grabbed her arm. Lorraine, the cameras are still rolling, Amanda whispered urgently. Everyone can see this. But Lorraine shook her off. I do not care. Let them see. Let them see what happens when someone disrespects me on my own show. They are seeing what happens when you disrespect your guests, Michael said quietly, surprising everyone. Lorraine whirled on him. What did you say? Michael swallowed hard, but continued. He is right, Lorraine. You went too far. You were rude from the start. Not you too, Lorraine said, her voice breaking slightly. You are supposed to be on my side. There are no sides, Michael said. There is just right and wrong. And this, what you did, it was wrong. Rowan was at the edge of the set now, but he paused to hear this exchange. I cannot believe this, Lorraine said, looking between Michael and Amanda. My own panel, turning on me. We are not turning on you, Amanda said gently. We are trying to help you see that this got out of hand. Out of hand? Lorraine's laugh was almost hysterical. He insulted me. He called me bitter and small and unpleasant. After you called him a fool and A has been, Michael pointed out. You started this, Lorraine. Lorraine looked at the audience, as if expecting support, but met only uncomfortable stares and disappointed faces. Some people were whispering to each other. Others were shaking their heads. You know what? Lorraine said, her voice trembling. Fine. Everyone thinks I am the villain here. Fine. Everyone wants to defend him. Well, let me tell you something. I built this show. Me. Not him. Not any of you. I made this platform what it is. Michael stood up from his seat. Lorraine, nobody is saying you did not build this show. We all know what you have accomplished, but building something does not give you the right to treat people badly. Treat people badly? Lorraine whirled on him. I was doing my job. I was asking questions. Hard questions that needed asking. Real questions. Not the softball nonsense everyone else does. There is a difference between hard questions and hard cruelty, Amanda said softly. You know that, Lorraine. We all know you know that. Deep down, you know that. And you just destroyed it, Rowan said from across the studio. Congratulations. Years of work, gone in minutes, all because you could not control yourself. Lorraine pointed at him. You have no idea what you are talking about. Then perhaps, Rowan said quietly, you should remember why you started. Before the ego. Before you forgot that the show is about the guests, the audience, the conversation. But you made it about yourself. And that is why this happened. Get out! Lorraine screamed, pointing at the exit. Get out. Get out. Get out. Rowan gave a slight nod, his dignity intact despite the chaos. Goodbye, Lorraine. I hope you find whatever it is you are looking for. But I suspect even you do not know what that is. He turned and walked through the exit, the studio doors closing behind him with a soft click that somehow sounded deafening in the heavy silence that followed. For a long moment, nobody moved. The audience sat frozen. The crew stood motionless behind their cameras. Amanda and Michael stared at Lorraine, who remained standing, breathing heavily, her hands clenched into fists at her sides. Finally, Amanda spoke. Lorraine, we need to go to commercial now. No, Lorraine said flatly. Lorraine, please. I said no, Lorraine repeated. She looked directly into the camera. You all saw what happened here. You saw how I was treated. I will not apologize for defending myself on my own show. Lorraine, Michael said carefully, I do not think that is how people are going to see this. I do not care how people see it, Lorraine insisted, but her voice lacked conviction. I know what happened. He was rude and arrogant and... He responded to your rudeness, Amanda interrupted gently. You know that is true. Lorraine's shoulders sagged slightly. He had no right. He had every right, Michael said. We all do. When someone treats us poorly, we have the right to defend ourselves. But not on my show, Lorraine whispered. Not on my show. Especially on your show, Amanda said, because this is supposed to be a place where people feel welcome, where they feel respected. Lorraine sank back into her chair, suddenly looking very small. I wanted to ask tough questions. I wanted to push him. There is a difference between pushing someone and pushing them away, Michael said quietly. The audience began to stir, whispers growing louder. Some people were already standing, heading for the exits. The crew exchanged uncertain glances, unsure whether to keep filming or cut. We really need to go to commercial, Amanda said again. Please, Lorraine. Lorraine stared at the empty chair where Rowan had been sitting, at the microphone he had carefully placed there. What have I done? She whispered. You lost your temper, Michael said. It happens. Not like this, Lorraine said, her eyes beginning to fill with tears. Not in front of everyone. Not like this. Amanda reached over and took her hand. We will figure this out. But even as she said it, they all knew the truth. In 47 seconds, everything had changed. What started as a simple question had escalated into a full-blown confrontation that ended with one of Britain's most beloved actors walking off the set, and a host left to face the consequences of her own behavior. The cameras continued to roll, capturing every moment. The audience sat in stunned silence, processing what they had just witnessed, and somewhere beyond the studio doors, Rowan Atkinson walked away with his head high, his dignity intact, leaving behind a disaster of Lorraine Kelly's own making. Michael finally signaled to the crew, "Cut to commercial, please." The lights dimmed slightly as the commercial break began, but the damage was done. In the span of one interview, one confrontation, one explosive exchange, everything had unraveled. Lorraine sat in her chair, mascara beginning to run, her perfect television persona shattered. Amanda and Michael flanked her, offering quiet support, but their faces showed their own shock and disappointment. The studio audience filed out during the break, their excited chatter filling the corridors. They had come for light entertainment and witnessed something far more raw, far more real, and far more uncomfortable than they had ever expected. When the crew called for quiet to resume filming, several seats in the audience remained empty. Those who stayed watched with wary eyes, the earlier warmth and friendliness replaced by tension and judgment. Lorraine attempted to compose herself, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue Amanda handed her. "How do we continue?" she asked, her voice hoarse. "We acknowledge what happened," Michael suggested. "We address it honestly." "I cannot," Lorraine said. "I cannot talk about it." "Then we move on to the next segment," Amanda said practically. "We pretend everything is fine." But they all knew that pretending would not work. Not this time. Not after what the viewers had just seen. As the cameras came back on, Lorraine faced them with a forced smile that did not reach her eyes. "Welcome back," she said, her voice artificially bright. "We have a wonderful cooking segment coming up next." But the words rang hollow. The studio felt different now. The atmosphere heavy with unspoken thoughts and barely concealed emotions. The magic, whatever had made the show work before, was gone. Amanda launched into an introduction for the cooking segment, her professional training taking over, even as her discomfort showed through. Michael added comments where appropriate, but his usual enthusiasm was missing. Lorraine tried to participate, tried to engage, but every word felt like an effort. Her mind was clearly elsewhere, replaying the confrontation, analyzing her words, wondering how it all went so wrong so quickly. The cooking segment proceeded mechanically. The chef demonstrated a recipe. The panel asked questions. The audience clapped politely. But it was all performance now, hollow and forced, everyone going through the motions while thinking about what had happened earlier. When the show finally ended, Lorraine remained in her chair as the studio cleared. The crew packed up equipment. The audience dispersed. Amanda and Michael gathered their things and left with quiet goodbyes, leaving her alone with her thoughts. She stared at the empty chair across from her, the chair where Rowan had sat, where this had all begun. A simple interview that had spiraled so catastrophically out of control. In her quest to ask tough questions, to be provocative, to create compelling television, she had crossed a line. She had let her own insecurities, her own need to maintain control, turn an interview into an interrogation. And when her guest had defended himself, had stood up to her bullying, she had escalated instead of backing down. The worst part was that he had been right about all of it. She had been rude. She had been cruel. She had let her ego override her professionalism. And now, sitting alone in the empty studio, she had to face the truth of what she had done and who she had become in that moment. The lights began to dim as the crew finished their work. In the growing darkness, Lorraine Kelly sat with the weight of her actions, knowing that when the sun rose tomorrow, the fallout would begin. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight, all she could do was sit in the silence and confront the uncomfortable truth. That sometimes the person we need to question most is ourselves.